Guys, this is Genoa Sayu. Welcome back to my channel. This is actually my third introduction for this video. It's cursed. So basically yesterday I reacted and watched for the first time West Side Story 1961. I was very excited and I loved it. I really loved it. The problem is the reaction got deleted and the footage was corrupted, so it was uneditable. I couldn't edit it. I was up all night trying to fix it because it was like a 38 minutes video has never been that long before, but I thought that it was appropriate for that particular movie, not because it's more important than others, just I had a lot to say because I compare with the remake. That's the purpose why I waited to watch the original and I watched the remake first, because I wanted to make comparison. I didn't want to have preconceived notions before going to the theater. I appreciate it more like that. But anyway, it got deleted. Moreover, I did what was meant to post like a post reaction in first impressions, a review of the movie, both movies, and that got deleted too. So I'm redoing it right now, and to be honest, I failed to write notes. It was pretty long. It was like 20 minutes conversation, and I did not write notes, so hopefully I'll remember everything I said. And I'm sorry this happened. I need a new camera, that's for sure. But anyway, actually it's pretty dark outside and I have the new lighting set up, so hopefully that improves the quality just a bit. But of course the video quality is what it is. I'm not buying a new camera at the present time, but I will definitely in the future, maybe in a couple of months or a year. But the lighting, it works. You can see me, right? Okay, so let's get into it. So first of all, let's talk about the overall movie. It was beautiful. It was beautifully done. The script was pretty much the same. They were very similar movies. The remake really did a beautiful job in capturing the essence and absolutely replicating certain scenes. They're exactly the same. For example, the beginning is identical. Even the wide shot on like the ambient shot from the top down, that's pretty much the same. The whistle, and it's so funny because in the beginning, I was trying to figure out what it was on screen, and the opening it was just an image with a few dots. I was trying to figure out for 15 minutes. I was trying to figure out what the hell is that, and I was trying. Is the lettering West Side Story? And in the end, it was New York. So it was really interesting. A really interesting touch. But yes, it was very much similar. The characters themselves were also very similar. Really, the actors did a really good job capturing the souls of their own characters, respectively. So I have no complaints about any of them. There are some new characters here and there, but it really succeeded in capturing their essence. Now, I want to talk about the main couple. So, of course, that would be Tony and Maria. So, Natalie Wood dominated the old classic West Side Story. She was the protagonist and she dominated the show. It really did. She really did. She was absolutely remarkable. And I think she exceeded everyone else and overshadowed everyone else in terms of voice, in terms of performance, acting. I loved her Spanish. She was so cute. And she's actually not that short, but she's much shorter of Tony. And I like the fact that in both movies the height is mentioned and highlighted because it's quite noticeable, especially in the remake. Because in the Richard in the West Side Story, the original, he's 6 feet and 1 or 2 inches. Instead, Ansel is 3 inches, like 6 feet and 3 inches, so he's even taller. And I'm kind of surprised because this actor, I never thought he was that tall. It's crazy. And then Rachel, the one that plays Maria in the new movie, she is very short. She's like 5 feet and 1 inch or 2 inches, like less than 2 inches, like what 5 feet and 1 inch for sure. So she's shorter than me. That's crazy because I'm quite short. I'm like 5 feet and 3 inches. But yes, they were beautiful. Both were beautiful together in both movies. So Natalie, really, she captured that naive personality. She has a beautiful voice, beautiful actress. Nothing to say against her. She was amazing. And Rachel's equally Like, likewise, she was amazing. However, Rachel does have a bigger voice, a more powerful voice, and that made an impact. She was very idyllic, very poetic, more like a Romeo and Juliet kind of voice that you will hear in theater. So yes, in retrospect, Rachel was more. I appreciate her more just because of the voice. It was pleasant to hear. It's totally subjective, but objectively speaking, she has a better voice, you know. But because Natalie was mainly an actress, Rachel was not mainly an actor, she was mainly a singer, and she worked in musical, and that's her first big project, actually. But yes, I think Rachel really did a really good job in this performance. She was really the star of this movie. However, I want to say something in the end about this, but yeah, I will say that equally I like them both Marias, except that Rachel's voice I like better. And also, I would like to say Rachel in the new movie did not overshadow anybody, even though she was a big protagonist in this movie. I think everyone in the remake was good. Instead, in the original, I think Maria was too much. It was too much better than everybody else. Like she was the big thing to watch, you know. Let's talk about Tony. I was very excited to talk about Tony because I think there's a lot more to say than Maria. They made a lot of changes. First of all, the many people have criticized Ansel, and I'm not going to get into it because I think it's foolish. But what I'm going to say is that I appreciate that they hired him because he was amazing, and I don't picture anyone else doing it, honestly. After watching him, it's very hard for me to to picture other people doing it. It's very hard because he has the right height, he's very handsome, and I think he did a beautiful job. And it was very difficult to kind of not being overshadowed by that Maria Rachel's, because she has a beautiful voice, beautiful performance, she's cunning, she's charming, but likewise I will say he he was equally important and equally interesting. And actually, his story was quite more interesting. If you think about it, he is on parole, something that was not in the original. He had a backstory, a more interesting story, a dark side that was more explained. And I appreciated that. That addition, I appreciated. And also the church scene, I loved it. And the way it's done in the remake, more so in the original, it was more Romeo and Juliet like. And also gives the chance to Tony to explain himself, explain his past, and disclose his feelings about what happened and his side of story. So and now Rachel forgives him and understands him. So I really like that aspect. And I didn't know that Ansel could sing and dance. So he quite surprised me on that aspect. Also, I want to point out for Tony that the I preferred Ansel's performance over the performance in West Side Story in the original, because there was one scene that kind of sold it for me and said, you know what, Ansel is doing a better job. It's the scene when they discover Maria is dead. I have to say, in the original, the actor is immediately turning away from the camera. That's a tactic. As you know, crying and showing sorry is one of the worst, is one of the most difficult things you can do in acting, because that has to be replicated over and over. And one of the tactics that they use is turning around away from the camera so that they cover their face and showing their distress with their body, which is much easier than showing it on your face. But Ansel didn't do that. He waited and looked at the camera the face dropped out of shock, and I love to see that. And then he turned away, and then he turned back in front of the camera, showing his distress in his face. And I thought that was brilliant. I love that performance so much. So I think he did a really good job, and I appreciated that scene very much. It was much more believable to me, and it made me tear up. And I have to say, while watching the original, I did not tear up once. I was not very emotional, but in the remake, I was towards the end. I was crying like a baby. Um, I don't know if it has to do with the fact that I knew where it was going, but usually when I get emotional for movies, I get emotional each time. Even if you look at some of my reactions of Star Wars, which I've watched so many times, even though I don't watch every day, but sometimes I cry randomly, so it doesn't have to be watched once in order to cry. Sometimes, even if I watch something more than once, it triggers something in me, no matter how many times I can watch something. But let me talk about a few scenes. So the ball scene, I actually enjoyed it in both movies. I thought the technology helped the remake very much, especially the scene where they meet, and the way everything stands still. It becomes blurry. In the original, they use the blurry effect, which works throughout, and in reality, they actually don't move. They're staying there. It's just that they pretend there's nobody else, which I like that aspect. I really do. However, in the remake, I think it's more poetic because it starts as not everything kind of starts slowing down, and they keep walking. Actually, their mental separation from reality becomes a physical separation. So they physically actually move away and are indeed alone. No one's watching them. And overall, I really liked this scene more in the remake because I thought it was very comedy, like a very comedy like. Rachel was funny, naive, cunning, like she showed that personality, and also Tony showed his personality. Like that scene, I think captures the personalities of the two, how they really are. They're very genuine, they're very good people, and yeah, and I really loved that interaction. I think he showed more about them in the interaction than anywhere else in the movie. So I think it was really important to change it. Instead, in the original was much more. I guess it was much more lovey-dovey. I don't want to say anything bad about that. There's nothing bad about it, but it was much simpler and romantic in that sense. And the fact that they kissed in the remake, I thought that was a good thing that she kissed him. Again, it's a symptom of a great and a strong personality who she knows what she wants, even though she's naive and very young and all that. Let's talk about the balcony scene. Now, the balcony scene was beautiful, however, in both films, but I have to say in the remake, I love that they used and took advantage of the environment and of the barrier, more the rails. I thought that it was a good touch. In the original, it was not used as much, like that they were in between always these rails. Instead, in the remake, they really took advantage, and it was very symbolic. I love when they use the environment to their advantage to express a meaning or a symbol, a symbol of separation, and the fact that they cannot be together. Another aspect that I liked is that there is the song Tonight, which they both sing. However, in the original, that scene where the song slows down and then picks up the pace, she starts it in the remake. She starts it in the spot, like in between the steps, and you see her face saying Tonight, and then he watches her, and then once it picks up the pace, they start singing together. I like that. To hear, it was pleasant to hear like that, that she starts because she is determined. That's her dream, to fall in love. That was not his dream. His dream was to kind of build a better future. He want to be a better person. It was more about himself. And then she was the surprise, the unexpected surprise. But then in the original, instead, they sing in unison together throughout. There was no pause. So, I mean, there is a pause, but she's the one that sings with him instead of her starting to sing. So I like the remake better, in terms of the balcony scene. I thought it was much more romantic, and it was just overall performed very well. Now let's talk. Oh my God, I'm sorry. It looks like I love the remake more. Oh, maybe I did. Okay, so let's talk about another scene, which is. What was the balcony scene? The balcony scene is beautiful, yes. The church we talked about. Let's talk about the ending. So the ending, I have to say, in the original, they did a better job in terms of conveying some of the symbols, as I stated, the meanings that they wanted to convey. They makes you reflective on it. The fact that they showed more pauses, so like she was protecting her body, she didn't want them to touch, but then she looked at them and saw an opportunity to unite them through his death. I like that part. And also when the one group comes in and the other group comes in, but firstly one group picks him up and the other group picks him up after, like there's some pauses that make it more evident that that's what they wanted to convey, a sense of unity after Tony's death. Tony's death is not really in vain. And the funeral scene was beautiful. I didn't like the fact that she was a little bit too behind. I liked in the remake that actually she was right behind and with him in the funeral scene. And also I like the fact that in the original she wore a red dress, which is what she wanted to wear from the beginning. In the remake, the red dress was the blue dress, but I think red really conveys the emotion of blood, and the emotion, like it conveys the concept of blood and the emotion of love at the same time. I find that very, very unique. So yes, the overall remake scene of the final scene, I love Ansel's performance a little bit better. I love the fact that he was shot twice, and the first time he didn't fall and he kept running, 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 and then he dropped and he fell down. And in the original, it's a little bit performed different. It kind of like falls into our arms. Um, I like that, but it's more his journey. It's about his journey as well. I like the fact that he crumbles and then he picks up. I like that aspect of falling down and going or try to stay up. I think that was conveyed better in the remake. Overall, guys, I think I love both movies, but if you ask me which one do you want to rewatch, I would rewatch the remake. The technology made it absolutely better. The actors were absolutely supreme. I will say that in the original, Maria overshadowed everybody else, but in the remake, not so much. She was brilliant. She was very good, but I think everyone else was good. Everyone was casted perfectly, and everyone had their own dignity and space, equal space, I will say. And also, wanted to say that the scene of Valentina, somewhere there's a place for it. That song is one of my favorite, but I like the fact that they kept it in one scene and it was sung by a third party, almost a narrator, viewer of the story, like us, so that she kind of like looks at everything unfolding. I like the fact that she sang it because it honored the original. It was out of respect, and I think it really conveyed a beautiful picture in that sense. And the song was sang only once, and it made it more unique and special. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys thought of this movie, of the original in comparison to remake. Which one did you like the most? And I absolutely strongly encourage you to watch the remake. It's beautifully done. It's long. So be ready. But you know, it's worth it. Both of them are long. They're long movies, but you know, not many people like to watch long musicals. But it works. It's beautiful. Steven Spielberg did a beautiful job, cinematically speaking, thematically speaking. It's a classic, and I love them very much. And I absolutely would purchase the DVDs. I like to have DVDs. I'm the kind of person who doesn't like digital. I like to actually physically hold them like books. So yes. I'm going to purchase the DVD when it comes out. See you guys next time. Bye.